Okay, great.
Hey everybody, this is Beth Helvey with Michael Saunders and Company, and I'm here with Kathleen Acosta with my favorite closing agent over at Nick Rocknich Property Law. The reason we're talking is we're talking about closings. Don't forget, as we've talked about in our previous videos, real estate is state to state. So how we're doing things is different than how a lot of the other states are doing things, and Kathleen is going to educate us as to what's going on. So you're still open.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are open for our staff and for clients to come and sign their closing documents.
Okay. So we in Sarasota yet have not received the shelter in place. We have 2 counties in Florida that have, but Sarasota and the rest of Florida, to my knowledge, as of about an hour ago, hasn't received that. So we're doing it. What kind of precautions are you taking to make sure everybody's safe when they come to your office for closings?
Okay. Well, a couple of things. We are trying to segregate parties. For example, a buyer in one closing room, seller in another closing room. We do have 2 nice closing rooms available, and limit the number of people coming into the closing rooms together. So if they bring extra friends and family, we're asking them to wait outside in our beautiful aired out courtyard. And obviously we are washing down with chemicals and all of the surfaces that are touched. We wash things down before and after closings, and that includes not just only the tabletop, pens, copy machines, door knobs, anything that comes in contact with a person, basically.
And I can attest to that. I was actually in the office on Friday for my personal closing in my house, which is, you can see the mess behind me. But we actually waited a little bit because you all went in and cleaned the room before I went in to do my signing. So,
right.
And I think David, who did my closing, actually even gave me a fresh pen to sign with.
Yes, we are utilizing, we're getting out our fresh pens, and the client is keeping the pen and walking out the door with the pen.
Yes, that's what I did too. Okay. So great. So we have that set up. So what kind of precautions or setup do you have in place should we get the shelter in place notification here in Sarasota County?
A couple of things. Our attorney, Nick Rocknich, has put in place. We can handle a closing via a mail away. It's what we term mail away, which is a FedEx package that goes out. And we can certainly send out a FedEx package, even if the client is local here in Sarasota. We can use that system. Okay. We can also, we're all notaries, Nick and all of our escrow officers, and I am a notary as well. We could meet remotely with the client and maybe set up outdoor signings so that we're all protected in the outdoor environment as opposed to going inside someone's home or office. So that's an option. Also, there is a new statute that was passed January 1st, and it's called RON, which is remote notarization, online notarization. It's a process, but we can also accommodate closings that way as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know California, for example, is going through this. I think in the entire state possibly is on shelter in place right now. One of the reasons we wanted to do this is because not only are they shelter in place, but they can't do closings right now. Again, we're talking about stuff that is state to state. In California, you have to actually file your deed with the county that you reside in order to take possession of your property. And that's not how we do real estate here.
Correct. So Florida is called a table funding state. So the parties come together, sign, or we do the FedEx mail away closing package that comes to us. And if you are present and the buyer and the seller are in our offices and keys are exchanged at the table after the documents are signed, if there's a lender involved, of course, we have to get approval that the loan documents have been accepted. But they actually walk away from the closing, and the buyer takes ownership immediately of the property. In other states, as you said, they have to wait. The documents have to be recorded. The deed has to be recorded. They have to come back to the closing or to meet in another location, then exchange the keys, and then take ownership. And that could be a delay of a couple of days. So we are a state that's immediate, transactional state, that it happens immediately. Now the documents do get recorded. We take them down daily to the Sarasota County. Manatee, we actually FedEx overnight, or we mail the deeds and all the paperwork that needs to be recorded. However, Sarasota is now closed.
Mhm.
So we are using the FedEx system to overnight, and they're going to have a catch up, obviously, to record documents. But the client does get ownership of the property, even though we are waiting for pending documents to be recorded. There's gap, it's called gap coverage for title insurance. That's part of what your title insurance policy covers you for. So it's called the gap time. So between the time you sign the document, and the time the documents are recorded, the deed's recorded, something else could get recorded in between. This happens all the time. So a lien, a judgment, and therefore the title insurance covers over that gap period of time. Right now we have larger gaps, but the client has the insurance to cover that.
And who pays for that insurance?
The buyer who pays for his own title policy pays for that coverage. It's part of the insurance policy premium, no additional charges for that.
Okay, so there we go. So we're not having to tack on additional fee in order to have something covering, we've never had to deal with this before. So, okay.
Right.
So with the courthouse, are people still working at the courthouse, or are they completely closed down and not processing deeds right now?
I think there's limited staff. I believe that they're taking in the mail and the FedEx packages. So I believe recordings are happening, but it's a slower process.
Right.
And limited staff.
Okay. Okay. So how has your office been? Are you guys still as busy as you were a little?
Part of working from home.
We're working from home. So are you all still as busy as you were before all of this, or have you found things have been slowed down?
The book of business that we have currently, we are still busy handling the pending files. And so David and Jen are quite busy actually at the moment. So we haven't seen a slowdown on the day-to-day operation of the office. As far as incoming business, I'm still getting contracts, and I'm getting actually some refi business, which is nice. The rates have dropped, they're great, and it stimulated some refinances. So we can handle those as well.
Great. Okay.
And also I wanted to mention too, on a cash buyer, it does not need a wet signature. So for example, I just got a contract from a California buyer, and they are buying with cash. Mm-hmm. So we can close them on their side by just emailing closing documents to them. Now a seller always has a wet signature on a deed. So the seller side is always a wet notarized signature. We call it a wet signature. So that has to be addressed either via FedEx, the RON system, which we can do another segment completely on the remote notarization. That is a new product, a new situation. So, but just so you know, if you're a cash buyer, it's very easy. The only thing you really have to do is get to a bank and wire money to us for the deposit and for the final funds.
Right. Okay. And are you having any issues with people able to wire out their funds? I think a lot
so
of
far we have
online.
not. Yeah, we don't have like a direct deposit system where you just can directly take money from your account. Account. However, people have personal bankers, and a lot of times they can get with their personal banker and they can get authorization remotely to transfer funds. But wiring is something that is tricky, and it's a very secure system, and it needs to be, and so it's a careful process basically.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, and let's do that. We'll reschedule for the RON, and we'll post that. But for now, in a nutshell, this is what we're doing for closings. Of course, if we get the shelter in place, we're going to be doing something else, and we'll do another video on the procedure for that. So if you have any questions, throw them in the comments, DM me, and I will answer them, or I'll forward them to Kathleen, and she will answer them for you. And thank you so much. Thank you for doing it. This is great.
You are welcome. Thank you, Beth. Thank you for all your business too. Bye-bye.